You're listening to Insight, a show about metaphysical, paranormal, and spiritual topics. Welcome. I'm evidential psychic medium Lisa Bousson. Enjoy the show. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce you to Lisa Starr Francis. Now, she is coming on today to talk about what she offers. And we were talking about the swag of the oracle cards that she has behind her, which is her Word Oracle Alchemy System. And it's an interactive body of work exploring the energetic, emotional, and lived relationship human beings have with language. So that's an interesting, it's a concept that many people have not even considered, which I love. So she's been doing this for over a decade and has guided people through experiences designed to help them recognize how words shape their own perception and identity and emotional patterns and everyday reality, I guess. So back in 2011, through intuitive paintings and personalized readings, gradually evolved into a multi-dimensional system that is now the 104 double-sided oracle card deck and guidebooks. So Lisa, you mentioned name codes, layaway sessions, and the poetry. And so we're going to get to all that today.
Okay, let's get to
it. In a nutshell, tell us about what all the Word Oracle Alchemy System is and how did it all come about?
Okay, so it came about because, when you're in crisis, a lot of things that worked for you. So I was already a very prayerful person through my entire adult life. Since I was 25, I got into metaphysics really early. I was always that quirky Aquarius girl. So when I was 50 and this crisis happened, well, my husband and I had built a sustaining home. And we lost not just our home, that was where we worked, it was where we homeschooled our kids. We had built it with our own hands. It was a very dramatic event. And at that time, I did not want to disconnect with my belief that God always has my good at hand, even though that looked like shit.
Right.
I knew God always has a plan. So in the plan, none of my prayers worked. So I turned toward Ho'oponopono, which I had in 2006 and 7 briefly touched on, but it wasn't till 2010, at the end of 2010, going into 2011, that prayer, that Ho'oponopono prayer, became the only prayer I could say. And so it was because I was saying it and I was forcing myself in a room every day, even though everything was bad. I forced myself in a room every day for 20 minutes just to be in that place. And it was because I was doing that I began, because I used to do weird things like spiral paint on big pieces of canvas and stuff. And I was now not able to do that because I didn't have a house anymore. So now I was making little dots on paper. And then one day I dotted, as I was praying, I was dotting.
Right.
And one day I dotted in the form of a heart and I spiraled the heart. And when I finished that, I felt something shift inside my body. And I recognized, oh, I should keep doing that. So then, and this is how the whole deck started because I didn't know. I mean, I am just trying to stay with God and not be a bad person in the world because something bad happened to me. So that's why I'm in the room. And so I ended up every day started dotting this heart while I did the prayer. And then one day I went, oh, I should put some color behind that before I dot on it.
Okay.
And, so one thing just evolved to another. And then I was doing it on paper. And then I thought, I'm going to go to the store and get these little canvases. So I did that. And I had about painted maybe about 20 of them and dotted them by this point because I was doing, you know, a painting and a dotting each day kind of thing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what I was doing. But every time I made one, it was like the other ones were saying, like, because I was doing it on my bed, and it was like they were saying, lay me out on the bed.
Oh,
So I had them all out on the bed. And and now I'm about to start. And I look down at them and I go, I don't know what I'm doing. What are you? And they go, we're your deck. And I went, what is happening here?
right.
You know, and I still didn't, it was a revolving deck at that time because initially, so I began doing readings because my sister tricked me into it, right? Because otherwise I wouldn't have really probably put myself out there with it. But my sister already knew I was psychic and now she could see what was happening. So
Right.
I did it. And at that time, I painted paintings every day through about a 5 year period. I painted hundreds of paintings and I would
Wow.
go out and I had built this crazy homemade, you'd love it because you're a homemade girl. I built this homemade thing that I could insert 30 paintings in each one.
Oh
And I
my
could just
gosh.
take them and lay them out. And you would come and you'd go, I want that one. And I would go in a room with you and I would read your message
Wow.
and you would take your painting home. And I knew they were Ho'oponopono cleaning tools that they were taking home. So I
Oh,
knew that the painting would continue to help them. But I was always saying the weirdest stuff about how to get the message into their body that I didn't
right.
even
Right.
understand myself. So everything I did was because I was involved in a covenant that I made with God. So when you say to God, I will live by grace, then you have to follow the breadcrumbs. So I did. And that's how we ended up with a deck because the whole thing just evolved. And never did my guides tell me I was making a deck because I wouldn't have believed from an individual painting that you took home that
Right.
how I could get to a deck. I would have
Right.
never believed. I know it came from God because it's so great. And
Right.
I myself know I'm smart, Lisa, but I'm not that smart. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not that smart. Okay, so it's a very smart system and it is a complete system and it allows you to come in whatever way sort of suits you, I would say. So
It's
yeah.
so interesting, because when I started out, I was a little bit older. Sounds like you were a little bit older too. And it's almost like I think we're kind of biding our time until maybe we're emotionally ready or mentally ready or whatever. And then God or universe or whatever hits us on the head with a magic wand and says, wake the hell up,
Yes.
right? We're putting you on a different path. And I think, honestly, and I just talked to a man about this today in a reading, where we realize that there's more out there to our lives than just the physical aspect. Like, go out and get a job, work 9 to 5 and work your butt off. And, there's so much more to it. So I really have to give you props for allowing yourself to go out on this tangent, which you have no idea where the heck you're going, but you had faith. And that's
Right. Well,
huge,
because I
huge.
did believe that God was guiding me. I mean, I did believe that. And as I
Mm-hmm.
said, and you know too, when something speaks through you and the other person is completely um like it whatever has just happened, they totally resonate and
Right.
you've almost even forgotten what you've said because
Yes.
actually you're a channel.
Right.
Um yeah, so there's a magic in there that you can't I don't know. I don't know how people would fake it, but I understand there are people that fake it, but I don't know how people really
You and me
do
both. I
fake
just
it.
don't know, whether it's their integrity or honor or whatever, but you know, you just know it deep in your bones when you're okay, this didn't come from me,
Yes.
right? When it's coming from a higher power. And yeah, I'm sure somebody can, ooh la la, fake it and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
that's not
yeah,
who I am. That's not who
yeah.
I am.
It's not who you
I'm just
are.
a down to earth girl. So
Okay, so this is going to be a good jumping off point, Lisa, because I
right.
think that the first thing we should talk about is the name code. And we should
Yes.
talk about that because our names are both Lisa. So I
Okay.
asked you to give me your birth name because the name code, we're going to imagine it's a lot like numerology in the sense, Lisa, that it's its own system. It works with inside of the alchemy system. Every card in this system is got a number attached to it.
Okay.
All right, so it has its own, and none of it makes any sense. It's if you look at the chart, you go like there's no. You're looking for coherence, but you're not going to find the pattern is that it's a disruptive pattern. Is that
Oh,
okay?
okay.
Is
I
what I would
understand
say.
that.
So because this thing is here to disrupt the way that we are interacting with words, because like when you think about how fast you read things and things like that. So we're just on automatic. We're not even feeling the words as they go by us. So this
Hmm.
system is designed to um, make us reread a sentence, for instance.
Oh, okay. All
Okay,
right.
because it interrupts the pattern. You can't just go
Mm-hmm.
past it. A lot of the stories that it would make up would have something put in a sentence that what it does is so you want to let's say you're making a mantra and you want to embody a certain thing using the mantra like we
Mm-hmm.
often do with an affirmation. These ones will be written, they probably aren't going to mention money if you're talking about money. They're going to be a
Okay.
bunch of different words. And then they're going to write something like kind of like Yoda, like beautiful you are instead of you are beautiful. They're going to
Right.
have something. And you're going to go, why are those two words together like that? The logical part of your mind will be stuck in sentence one where they said that. And so as you're going along embodying the rest of it, your mind is not resisting it because it's back there trying to figure
Oh,
out what's up here.
right. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so
So
it
it's
it
getting you out of your left brain and
It,
allowing you to feel and think
yes.
creatively. I love that.
Yes. So it works like that. So anyhow, so the name code works like numerology in the sense all the letters of the alphabet are tied to a number.
Okay.
And also in this deck of 104 cards, we've basically got the alphabet as the lexicon, and it's in four different color categories. All right. So when we come to any letter and we say, oh, like in numerology, your first letter is going to mean something and your last letter is going to mean
Right.
something. They're going to call those like your foundation and your capstone or something. I used to do numerology, so I know
Yeah.
those would be considered things you would look at in a
Yes.
snapshot. So I'm not going to look at our whole name. I'm going to look at, we're both Lisas, but
Hmm.
your name is Lisa beginning with an L and your last name ended with an N. Mine
Correct.
ended with a Y. So I'm going to talk to you about the L and the similarities we may share in the L.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about the N. So when I talk about them in this way, it's a brief, but the name code is coming to us like as if to say, our souls came here, we chose our we chose the attributes that we were going to use to fulfill our purpose. Then we got
Hmm.
here and someone said, don't do that.
Oh,
And we
nice.
and we scrunched, as we had a gift and someone laughed at us when we did a talent show. So we didn't do ballet anymore. Okay?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So we come with attributes that are going to be that keep us on purpose, on our purpose, not finding our purpose, but being on our purpose. So our purpose comes in this system. The purpose is chosen by us and comes with us, and we have everything in us to make it work. What
Hmm.
happens is that someone says a thing, and then the thing goes dormant. It's not gone. It's dormant. It's just laying there, not active anymore.
I understand that
Okay.
100%.
So when you use the name code and you get your name code, It will activate those things that have laid dormant. It will bring them back online, and
Wow.
it will empower the ones that you're already using.
Hmm.
And when you read your name code, you know which ones you're doing. You feel it in your body if it's real for you. Like,
It's so interesting that you say that because when I was about 4, I started seeing people coming out of my closets, and you know, to the point where they would come every night, and I would hide underneath the covers in bed, and I could actually feel them bump the bed. The bed would shake, and my mother would say, "Lisa, shut up. There's nobody there." Well, eventually you learn to shut up,
right.
right?
Eventually
So
you
that's
wait
what you were
until you're,
talking about,
that's
being
what I'm
shut
talking,
down.
getting shut down. Exactly. So,
Yeah,
and it happens innocently because we've probably shut down our kids' gifts too, because that's life. Okay. So,
yeah.
the name code comes as a way for us to bring the dormant ones back online and strengthen the ones that we already are doing. And the thing that happens when a person gets their name code is they identify and they actually start to see, wow, I'm using so many of my gifts.
Right.
Okay. And the ones that they haven't been using, they recognize that if they follow the plan. So this is a sort of like it gives us a prescription, this deck. Everything is like your little prescription. You're going to
I
do this
love
for
that.
so many days. Okay. So when you
Right.
get a mantra made, you're going to do it for so many days. It figures it out. You do the math and it figures it out. So by
Wow.
the same thing, the name code, usually when someone has their name code, it's somewhere between 90 and 110 days to fully embody it. So, depending on whether they are doing the written version, which they will be writing it every day and saying it out loud as they
Okay.
write it, they would be doing it for that many days and then it would be fully embodied. Okay, so everything would be back online.
Okay.
Oh,
So writing it out makes a difference versus just kind of verbalizing or mentally thinking about it, right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
So if they're
Kind of.
only taking the written version of it, then yes, I tell them to first have a ceremony with it the first time, like Sarah, do something ceremonial for themselves, whatever that might be
Hmm.
before they do it the first time and then do it once a day for the amount of time. I've had people that, for whatever reason, would stop doing it and then they would think they have to start again. And I say, no, if you do it for 11 days and then
Wow.
you can't do it, just pick it back up. You're keeping track. You're keeping track. Obviously, with anything, it's like a diet or anything like that, we do sometimes feel resistance, which might make us not want to do it. But, you know, when people have it as a written thing and it comes with a song, so it has a song, so you can have your song, so you can write it out once and then play your
Hmm.
song every day and sing your song. For
Okay.
me, that has the highest value because it really marries to your emotional body very quickly when you are singing it. So,
Right. Well,
and
not only that, you're hitting it from different angles, right? So,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
auditorily and visually and mentally, and you're hitting it from all different angles, which kind of solidifies it. I think that's great.
Yes. Okay, so now I'm going back to where we were because I keep veering off to the side, left and right. Okay, so we're going to
That's
look
fine.
at the L. So in the case of the L, these are the four different cards for the letter L. And
Oh,
each
okay.
one of these for you and me come with an attribute. So I'm just going to tell you these are the attributes that we are sharing in the letter L. Now, for you, it's a bit different because you have four L's in your name. So
Hmm.
it means that this is very emphasized, Lisa, to have four of the same alphabet letters and even in the first position of your name.
Hmm.
So these are like where your N at the last of your name, you've only got one of those, right?
Okay, hang on. Let me interrupt you for just a second. So when Lisa says that I have 4 L's in my name, Lisa asked me for my maiden name, my birth name, right? Which is
Yes.
Lisa Claire Allen, not Bousson. So that's what Lisa is going by. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Oh,
I'm sorry for
yes. So we're
interrupting.
using our birth name, whatever that is. And I've even been working with people who were adopted and had their birth name and their adopted name. And
Oh.
we've looked at both because that's a
Mhm.
unique situation. But I usually use the birth name because that is what my guidance is. So yes. So just to say that these gifts for you are going to be sort of quite emphasized because you have so many L's. So the first card, this one here, which has been largely sexualized by a lot of people. And when I painted this, this for me was a longhouse with smoke signals coming out the top, but
Okay.
nobody saw it that way when I brought it out. But these cards are abstract like that because there's one of the readings where you can just look at them and make up whatever you want it to say.
Right.
Okay, so they have no
Okay.
names on them and stuff for that reason. But this particular card is called Spreading Deeply Loving Signals. So for some of us who have L in our name, I have it twice, you have it four times. So um, this quality means we have a natural way of holding others with care, and that
Mm,
our presence carries a quiet sense of goodwill. Okay, so if the gift is not been squished by some life experience, if it's not dormant, that's how it looks. If it's dormant or slightly squished, we'll just say, it might be harder to stay in the place of holding others with care. Like it might be harder to stay in that place. And certainly it was for me when I was younger. And
okay.
and it also could be moments where tension replaces softness. So that's how we tell, oh, where am I in this energy, right? So you have four of that. Um, in your, you have that times four. So
Hmm.
it made sense to me that you were helping people in the way you were, because as a medium, you have to be really holding others with care. You cannot be
Hmm.
doing mediumship with a flippant philosophy.
No, you can't. But I also see, if you think numerologically or even astrologically, but more numerology wise, if you have that in excess, sometimes it can be either exploited, abused, or used against you or whatever, right? And I
Right.
see that in my life as well.
Right, exactly.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, and this is what happens. And usually I don't necessarily tell people like this. Usually I give them the sentence. I don't tell them that this way that I'm doing it. This is just a way that I'm trying to
Sure.
share about the code so we can
No, I
understand.
love it because it
Yeah,
helps people understand what you're doing to a better extent.
right. So this one is the second one, and it's the second L card, and this one calls itself Liquid Lake Speaks Softly and Storms Erupt Without a Peep.
Hmm.
So this one tells us that some elves have an ease in meeting sudden changes as they come, and they move through shifts without the need to resist them. Okay, that's it. When the gift is on purpose, when we're using that attribute, I like to call them an attribute rather than a gift. So we
Sure.
chose the attribute of being able to roll with the punches. And if we're able to roll with the punches, it means that the gift is operating. If an unexpected change feels disruptive, or we have difficulty adjusting to things that happen in the moment, we can't just adjust. That means
Hmm.
that we're dormant. And again, I like to tell people if it's dormant, it's got nothing to do with us being good or bad. Life causes the dormancy. A parent could not have just looked at us when the moment that we needed recognition and the gift went into dormancy.
Hmm.
There doesn't have to be something wrong for these attributes to go into dormancy. So I like to make sure I say
Okay.
that. And then
Hmm.
this one's called Cheerfulness is My Name. And this one shows that the L would have a natural lightness that lifts others around them. So again, it's that natural way, and that their energy always brings ease into shared spaces. So you can see, like the L is double in that ease
Right.
factor. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Very similar.
yeah, very similar. On the other hand. these people can really sense heaviness instead if it's not working right. And I've been able to sense the heaviness, like,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
either go in the room and pick up all the lightness or you go in the room and pick up all the darkness. And it's kind of up
I
to,
recognize that. Yes,
yeah,
ma'am. Yeah, you too. Yep.
yeah. So, and the fourth one here is called deep contemplation brings soul satisfaction. So that means for some L's, there's a real pull toward reflection and quiet thinking. And they like to spend time with what matters inwardly to them. Like an L does like to spend time alone with the divine. An L does like that, and especially
Mm-hmm.
if they're on purpose. On the other hand, it might be an L could stay occupied on the surface if they're not there, and not really spend much time giving anything deep thought. So that shows us um,
Mm-hmm.
so, and then your N, let's go through your N and then we'll move to another topic. But I want to show you what N has in it because these are your cornerstone and capstone, let's just say. So the four N cards look like this.
Wow.
And this one is the first one. It's called Flowers are Harbingers. So this is what you end on. These are your notes that you end on, right? This is like kind of like, I would say, the boundary line, let's just say. The thing
Okay.
that should be, holding the rest of your life in, let's say. So this one, when the attribute is being fully open and used, there's a natural awareness of meaningful signs in everyday life. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
you for sure. And
Yep.
noticing the small moments that feel affirming or connected. If it's not if it's not happening, if it's gone dormant, the signals will be unnoticed and the tendency to overlook things will be quietly present with the person. Okay, so you go, oh,
Yeah. Makes
I'm
sense.
I'm right on time. I'm exactly right. And this one here is called Splat Right in Your Face. Uh-huh. And for some, this means that there's an openness to meet life again as it arrives. Again, that being able to roll with it. So you have it on the front end and you have it on the back end, and that is like really good bookends right there. And this means that you can adapt quickly to whatever appears unexpectedly. So,
Mhm.
and again, that would make you a great medium, right? And great psychic because you have to
But
be adaptable.
yes.
So, and if it's not working, again, the person might be not really like intense or sudden disruption, and they could resist things that aren't planned. Like they are not the person to call up and say, let's go out for dinner spontaneously. If the gift isn't open, that L is saying, I need to schedule that with you.
Right.
They're going to be more like that. Okay. And then the afternoon, this one's called an afternoon kiss.
Aw.
An afternoon kiss, yes. So for this means that there's an ease in receiving and giving care, warmth, and affection, and that when this one is on purpose, this L makes space for closeness and tenderness. Like they do. They're going to make it
Mm-hmm.
happen. They're not going to not let it happen. And if it's not, they're going to make it hard. They'll make it hard for that to receive that type of connection. And they would be in a distance from anything feeling soft or nurturing. They wouldn't find that easy. And I find the last card, because the last card was the only one that I really looked at, this last N, and I thought that is so interesting. Because this card is called Something is Smoldering, and this would be your
Oh.
like last line of defense. Something is smoldering. And if
Does that
this is
have
on
anything to
purpose,
do with me being a Scorpio?
I've thought a few times about that myself. Something is smoldering. This means there is a willingness to follow deeper questions and curiosities.
That makes sense.
Right. And they explore what continues to call for attention. So, if something inside you is calling for attention, you're exploring it. And
Mm,
like this, it makes sense that you would naturally open to the things that others don't see because it's here.
that makes sense. That makes
so.
sense, because I mean, really makes sense. Because when I don't understand something from spirit, or even just, I don't know how to sew a button on it, it's something simple like that, but I really get into it and I need to know everything about it,
Mhm.
right? I really explore it. And if like when I was learning about mediumship and really studying hard and taking classes, if I didn't explore it or dig it deeper, it's almost like I have to prove it to myself. And the only way
Yeah.
to do that is to dig deeper.
Yes. And a
Yeah.
Scorpio is going to dig deep anyways, let's
Yeah.
face it. That's where the deep
Yeah.
dive is. Okay,
There you
so
go.
that is basically a little thing. So the name code can really help us get back on purpose. So when I said that the Word Oracle Alchemy System has many entrances in, so it does. I have an octopus on the front page of my thing, and I've got 8 arms coming off of it because the thing kept saying, I heard myself say so many times, the thing is like an octopus. So then it showed up like an octopus for me. So I
Okay.
went with it. And so basically, the name code is one way to come in. So maybe you don't want to own a deck and you don't want to do everything forever, but you would like to feel that maybe you're one of those people that keep searching for your purpose and you keep taking people's courses and you never find your purpose.
Right.
My
Right.
thing says your purpose is inside you and you can like turn back on your dormant attributes and be on purpose because they'll be on. And you
I
will be
love
on
that.
purpose because they're on.
I
Maybe
love
you're
that.
not going to change a job or anything. Maybe you're going to just love your life the way it is because now your things are on. So,
It's interesting because you know what? You've just right there with just that, what you just said is so important because there's so many people, especially nowadays, and young adults that are in a place in their lives where I don't know who I'm supposed to be. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And it seems like there's so much pressure, for everyone to be productive and go, go, go and do, do, do. But you just told people that that's not what you're seeing, that it's okay to be who you are.
it is okay to be who you are. I mean, and the whole thing about the word oracle, I mean, from the perspective of the guidance that I've been given is that the reason we're all screwed up is because the language that we use, even the
Mm-hmm.
words we're speaking to one another clearly, we're clear. And even then, the language is borrowed, it's inherited. We did
Mm,
not it's like if you sew a blouse, you made the blouse. The
mm-hmm.
blouse is yours. Even if you used a pattern from the store, it's your blouse. You put it together.
Right, right.
Okay. But we use language and we didn't put any meaning on it. The meaning got on it
Ah.
because of the dictionary in our life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The word oracle makes you the author because it allows you to energetically shift the language. And that can
Nice.
happen to you through any of the ways that you come in it.
Right.
Any one you're going to use is going to do something to you to disrupt the program that language has you in because we are in trouble as humans because words mean so much. I mean, uh, this problem on the internet is all to do with the words. I mean, it's just
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
I, I'm thinking to myself when I started making this thing and it's telling me it's the word oracle, I'm thinking, who needs this crazy thing? And then, as the world gets whipped up and whipped up, I start to see the words people are using on each
Right.
other. And I go,
Right.
oh my God, yeah. So, yeah,
So,
we need help with our language.
right.
And
We
that's
had
why it's
talked
here.
earlier before we were on air. We had talked earlier about personalized word alchemy poems and layaway sessions. Can you explain what those are?
Yeah. So the personalized poem is actually your name code. The name code comes as a poem. It's a bunch of sentences. So Lisa wouldn't be getting that type of thing that I said about the L. She would be getting the sentences that have to do with L, the sentences that will turn her L back on if it's off.
Okay.
Okay. So, and she will be getting them in a particular pattern that her name dictates. And if it's the song, then the song. I had to have Errol write a song, which is basically 104 separate pieces of music, which he
Oh
then
my. Gosh.
takes and puts together when you get your song. He brings down all the parts and has so every song is made from the sentences that belong to the letters, but they're all mixed
Wow.
individually when they go down. Yeah. So that's the kind of
Very
fun
nice.
stuff
So you're
that
getting a
happens.
one of a kind song,
Yeah.
right? That's awesome. Explain who Errol is.
Oh, Errol is my husband, and he's a really great songwriter. He in Canada, he was a big Juno Award winner back in the 80s, and he's worked in television and radio, broadcast, commercials, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And yeah, so he
Okay.
does
Good. Yeah. So
if I need
so
recording, he's my guy.
yep. So the listeners, you're getting you're getting the real thing. It's not like a Humpty Dumpty type thing, right? You're getting the real thing. That's
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
not like some of these astrology songs that they're telling you are written for you because they're probably written by AI.
AI. Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
another story.
So and then what are
Okay,
the layaway sessions? You had
a
mentioned that
layaway
too.
session is your way to get the deck because here's what happened. The deck is like 104 cards. They're double-sided, and I self-published, and which meant I put all my own money in, and Um, I kept it in Canada because every time I tried to get it from a foreign territory, which you could get it for less money, but the shipping was
Oh,
like $5,000 for shipping. Like,
oh my
hello.
gosh.
No. So,
Right.
I had it all produced in Canada, but the slow and skinny is that unless you're going to get 10,000 of them,
Oh,
you're not
right.
going to get the best price. So I didn't get 10,000 of them because I wasn't there yet. So I did get a number of them and they had to be $99. Well, when you're used to a $10 deck and you don't know
Right.
what this does, you might not think that it's worth it if you don't really know. I just want to say it's $99 Canadian, and that's delivered to your house.
Mm-hmm.
That includes the taxes and delivery. And if you're an American, your money makes that $71 today because
Wow.
you're American.
Yeah.
Um, that's the way it is. So the layaway was created because I had a lot of people in my list respond to me saying that because a lot of people were on my list from 2020 and then I couldn't get the deck because everything happened.
Right.
And then I didn't end up getting it till 2024. So some
Oh my gosh.
people explained that their financial situation had changed over the years and
Right.
that they would like to get it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot for them to put out in one thing. So I think this is so funny because you have the Johnny Cash connection. So I think it's so funny I'm talking to you because you had the Johnny Cash moment when you were on the stage. So I prayed and I asked God, I said, listen, I have to have a way for people to get this, and I can't reduce the price. So
Right.
you got to help me figure it out.
Right.
And within a few days, I was seeing men in brown leisure suits with the big collars on them, like the 70s. Like I was seeing
Oh
like
my
my dad
gosh.
in a
Yep.
brown leisure suit.
Yeah.
I saw Johnny Cash, and then I was in Simpson Sears, and I was at the layaway counter. So then it came out within moments because that's how my downloads come. Now I'm doing a old-fashioned layaway, and I mean it's old-fashioned because there's no subscription.
Mm-hmm.
So you're if you decide you want the deck for $99, you can put it on layaway, just like in the olden days. You could send me $11
Yeah.
and I send you a link and you can come and have a free session with me. It's not
What?
free, but it will be free because if you do nine of those and you pay me nine times $11, then I
Right.
send you the deck. So
And then
essentially
they
the
still get
nine.
all those little free readings. How great is that?
Right, right. And actually, it's a release and restore, so they get to change words and they get to understand how the deck works. So
Wow.
once it gets to their house, they know how to use it. And the thing about the layaway is that I made dates between June all the way to the end of November, two to four times a month. Um, and if you start the layaway, then every time I'm doing one, I'm sending you an email with a link. If you want
Right.
to come, you're going to click the link and pay me. If you don't, you don't. and
Mm-hmm.
there's no automatic subscription coming off your credit card. If
Right.
you come to 3 sessions and you go, I don't really like this, you've only invested $33 and
Exactly.
you got something
That's a steal.
anyways.
That is such a steal. Let me tell you guys. That
Right.
is such a
So
steal.
I did that because I'm not doing this work to get rich. I
Mm-hmm.
was just trying to be a housewife. I want everybody to know I was trying to be the wife of the rock star. Okay. I only came on social media to help him. I was not ever going to be doing anything. Okay. So now I'm here. I'm in a covenant with God. I'm supposed to share this with people so people can
Mm.
unspell themselves. That's what my guides say. It's mesmerism. We're in gobbledygook. We're in
Oh, yeah.
poppycock. And when you start to shift the words, it's like one word shifted inside you is now inside with all the other words. And now that one word is slightly shifted. Now, what do you know
Mhm.
about energy? When one thing slightly shifts, everything else shifts with it.
Everything does. Yeah.
So when you work with this system, whether you work one word or at a time or you are into multiple spreads in multiple words, it doesn't matter. You're going to feel it because you can't not feel it. And the thing this deck does for people is it actually makes you become very conscious of your relationship with words.
Mm-hmm.
And when people are speaking, you will hear differently as you clean words up for yourself and give them you clean off what they meant and you put on what they're going to mean in the sense of energy. That means when someone has said a word that you didn't like, um, you aren't going to be bothered by it when they say it because you've cleaned it up for you.
Mm. Nice.
Right? So
Yeah.
it isn't about changing the outer meaning of the word for anybody else. This is all about the inside job. And
Okay. So what they're doing is really like an emotional or a energetic shift in the relationship with the word.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And we can do samples of that right now. We can do that right now. Um we can do it with you.
Okay. Let's do this.
All
For
right.
instance,
So what's that?
for instance,
For instance, I'm gonna pull a card for you. I'm just gonna shuffle and you can tell me when to stop, and then you're gonna tell me top or bottom, and I'll either take the top card or the bottom card.
okay, stop.
Okay,
Let's do the bottom.
go to bottom. Okay. All right. So the bottom is this card. So the first thing that I would ask you to do is choose a color from this card.
Okay.
All right. So then you would be using that color because this is a writing process. This is how you clean a word. So just one word.
Okay.
All right. So when I say the letter Y, does a word come to mind for you right away? Y that begins with Y?
Yellow.
Okay. So you're going to take the word yellow. And now
Mhm.
that's a perfect example. I love the way God works because everybody's going to think yellow is like a neutral word. You're not going to think you have a charge.
Yeah. Right.
You're not going to think you have a charge with a word like yellow, but it came as a word for you to clean. That's what jumped up. So I also want to say that this deck, because it was made by Ho'oponopono, meaning every dot on every card is all Ho'oponopono. I prayed the Ho'oponopono over every painting.
Right.
So these paintings uh, and this deck never brings up a word that would upset you. Okay, your soul has to be in agreement that that word can be cleaned or that word is not coming up. So I could say on the back of this card, I could read off all these words and you could have 10 trigger words here. But if you're not ready for them, they're not going to trigger you.
Right.
Okay, so I just want to know the system is very clean in that way. It's very clean. So now you would take your word yellow and I'm going to look the card up in the book, but basically you get your card and you pull it and then you're going to look at the letter that the card begins with. In this case, it's a Y and the color
Okay.
on the border is orange. So I would go into the clean words section of this book and I would look at the top of the page for a yellow orange, which
Oh,
I mean, I'm not a yellow orange, an orange Y, a yellow orange. That was a play on words. I love those guides, a yellow orange. Okay, so I found the Y page. So
okay.
you would find that and you would have picked your color, and then they would tell you to take your pen in that color and write the following sentence 26 times down the
Oh,
page.
wow.
And so
Okay.
you would write, I now undo any old associations with the word yellow.
Okay.
And you would do that 26 times. Now, what's going to probably happen? If it is a neutral word, you're not going to think of anything as you go. But if it's not a neutral word, as you're writing, you're going to have all kinds of different thoughts about what yellow's actually attached to for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
what also happens is as you go down and you get towards that 26th time, because they're all different numbers, the next one on the next page is 35, just so you know, they're all different. After you get down towards the 26 times, you'll notice that the charge that was in the word at the top of the page is not in the word at the bottom. And most of the
Wow.
time, it
Okay.
completely disappears. Now, I want to preface this to say that doesn't mean that yellow couldn't come up for you again as a word that needs to be cleaned. Because
Right.
as my guides say, we have used the word yellow thousands of times, and
Of
it's
course.
connected to thousands of stories. So words come back around because it's not a one and done deal, unless we've
Right.
only used the word once.
Right. Right. That
Or,
makes sense.
or in one way only. So after you would do that, then you would take the same pen and it would have you write again. So the first thing would be the unspelling, the cleaning, unspelling it of
Right.
what it was
Right.
associated to. And now you're going to upspell it. You're going to give it something new. So you're going to write, when I encounter the word yellow, I can completely know that I am never, ever alone. So now you're going to write that 26 times. And what that means is when you hear the word yellow, when you read the word yellow, one of the new connections for yellow and a stronger connection to yellow because you've actually authored it. You did not accept it from outside. You authored it. You put it in. So it's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
very strong signal. So when I say yellow and you've done that, you read the word yellow, you're going to have a feeling inside you, even if you don't know it. The trigger will be, I know that I'm never ever alone. I completely know that.
I love that. It's like you're building new neurons.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So
Yeah.
that's how clean word works. And that's a one word a day that you could do. And in a year, you would have 365 clean words that you authored that are vibrating inside the bank of words that you've been carrying around your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is going to change your life. I know it sounds preposterous, but it's true.
No, it makes sense to me. So, Lisa, what, as we wrap up,
Yes.
you have always been such a fascinating person because of not only this, but just your life story and all that kind of stuff. Who is the real Lisa? Tell me about you.
She is the one that does not follow the rules. That is who she is. Like, I'm not a rule follower. And, at times, I mean, I'm not a rule follower. I'm an Aquarius. I have a Leo moon. So I've often said it's like it's a terrible combination because the Leo part of me does want you to like me.
Mm-hmm.
It says, yeah, please like me. And the Aquarius part goes, I don't give a rat's ass if you like me or you don't.
Oh my
This
God.
is the way it is,
I
and
love
that's
you.
that. Okay, so that's who I am. And so as a result of that, I did everything slower in life. I didn't get married till I was 31. I didn't have a child till I was 33. And and then
Mm-hmm.
I decided I wasn't going to put my kid in school. And then I became a homeschooler. So I did things that made my world in some ways not be able to expand like other people's because I made choices. I'm 66. So when I schooled my kids, it was 30 years ago. And that was a smaller pool than it is now.
Homeschooling back then was rare.
Right. So, I was always doing the thing. I lived in Canada. smoking pot was against the law, but I did it, because I was a rebel type of person, but at the same time, I was always on the spiritual path.
Hmm.
So I was the kind of person that the people who were like the people that did this pot smoking hippies, they couldn't relate to how I could talk about God, and they couldn't see how
Right.
both things. So I'm just saying that's an example of how I'm rebellious. Or people would have their kids come to my house and they'd go, I can't get my kid to eat those vegetables and rice that I see they're mowing down on them at your house. What's
Right.
going on over here? And I go, well, my rule is you got to put lots of butter and salt on stuff and your kids will eat everything, right? And they would like look at me like, that's preposterous. You shouldn't use salt, you shouldn't use butter. And I'm
Right.
that's who I am. And I was
But you know what? That's what our ancestors did, right?
It is. It is. And I lived right beside my grandparents growing up, and my grandfather was born in 1889, and my grandmother was born in 1896. And they were
Wow.
already in their 60s when I was born, and they did everything by hand. You know,
Natural.
they were natural people. That's how they
Yeah.
lived. So, yes. And I didn't do any of it on purpose, if you know what I mean. It
Hmm.
just stuff
You
that
didn't
didn't
do it
make
to
sense
be
to me, I just didn't do it.
exactly. You did what came naturally to you.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and I read
So,
I read good books when I was in my 20s. Like someone gave me Gawain's creative visualization.
oh wow.
And that was like a book that was like pretty far out.
Yeah.
And you know, I was like, wow, like
Yeah, that's some
I
woo thinking there. Yeah.
right. And it was an expanded thinking that you could creatively visualize your life. Like no one was really doing vision boards back then. That was like, she was sort of like intimating we could visualize
Our
whatever we
reality.
wanted.
Yeah.
And that was like a pretty new idea. Because at that point, like not even Wayne Dyer was popular yet.
Right. Right.
They came a few years later, but like
Yep.
she was like a pioneer. And then I read The Prospering Power of Love by Catherine Ponder. And that just made me a way more loving person. Like I was just going to love people. And I was always sending love to people when I was on the bus. I became like this weirdo sending love because I read that book. And the other book was M. Scott Peck, The Road Less Traveled. And that book
Yes.
affected me the most
Great. Yeah.
because he talks about how our life is programmed that by the
Hmm.
time we're about 20 something years old, we stop expanding our life map and we sort of settle for a
That's right.
postage stamp life.
That's right. I see that concept still pretty much, but then I also see, as we mentioned earlier on in the interview, about how when we get to our 40s, 50s, 60s, most I think 40s and 50s, we come to realize that there's more to life than what we were programmed for. And that's where I want to say, an elective intelligence comes into play,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's
because we
more to
have to
this
we have
world than,
we have to select. We have to select. Like you know, I don't know. I mean, I like to think that everybody comes to this point, like you or I come to some point where we realize we have to look inside of ourselves. I like to think that
yes,
everybody comes to that point.
yes.
And some people might tell me that's Pollyanna, but I like to think that
But it's a
everybody,
reality. I think it's a reality. At least I totally agree with you. So, well, Lisa, is there anything else that you need the listeners to know? You know what? Why don't you give us your email, your website, all that kind of stuff where they can get in touch with you?
okay. So if somebody wants to find out more about anything, they can write to me at Lisa Starr Francis at gmail.com. And it's Lisa, and the star has two R's, Francis, which is Francis.com. I'm on Facebook as Lisa Starr Francis. I'm on Instagram as Lisa Starr Francis. And yeah, if you want to come to a layaway session, the next one I have booked is Sunday, June 14th, 2026 at 2 p.m. and Saturday, June 27th at 7 p.m. So I'm always doing them on a Saturday or Sunday, and I'm going to switch the times back and forth on the Saturday and Sunday so that people can
Right.
hopefully in different time zones find the ones that work for them.
Nice. Very
But
good.
yeah, that's the
Well,
most immediate thing that's happening. Or if you want to get a name code done, you can visit my website um, and
that
find
was
out
really
all about
interesting.
those things.
So
Yeah,
thank you for using that as an example so we could get a little bit of an understanding about how it all works and what it does. So that was fascinating. So thank you. And thank you for coming on the interview with me. It was my pleasure talking to you, sweetheart.
I really appreciate you asking me to come. It's very kind of you. And yeah, and Lisa, I want to say that my mom loved Lilydale. And I just want to close with that my mom loved Lilydale. And my mom went there every summer with her boyfriend. And I do believe that my mom looked for you because it was 3 days after my mom died that she came through you. And I
Isn't it
believe that my
crazy?
mom looked for you because when I came home from meeting you in when you and Errol were on stage that time, 2019, that was in San Diego. Um, I talked about you. My mom knew you by name.
Okay.
So I
All right.
believe that my mom came and found you because I know a lot of mediums and she didn't really bother to be coming through a lot of mediums, but
Mm-hmm.
she did know about you. And I said that. And my sister thought it's the Lilydale connection
It
because
could be.
yeah, my mom loved Lilydale and she loved the all the little houses and all the great
Yeah.
psychics and mediums
Yep.
and events there. Yes.
That's so
So
sweet.
we're not far from there, really.
No, I'm about 6 hours. Yeah. And
Yes.
I'll be back. I'm going in a couple weeks, and then I'm teaching in August. So
Nice.
I'm excited. I'm excited. All right,
Thanks
sweetheart,
so
you
much.
take care. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.